federal court judge has found Bruce Lehrmann did rape Brittany Higgins, ending a multi-million-dollar courtroom battle that has captivated the country.
My conclusion on rape: Mr. Lehrmann raped Miss Higgins.
A bombshell finding.
Mr. Lehrmann was hell-bent on his pursuit of gratification. He was so intent upon gratification to be indifferent to Miss Higgins' consent.
Vindication for a victim who's been through hell.
Her evidence that she was not fully aware of her surroundings, but then suddenly became aware of Mr. Lehrmann on top of her, at which time he was performing the sexual act, struck me forcefully as being credible and having the ring of truth.
Can you tell us the truth?
The federal judge today finding on the balance of probabilities that Bruce Lehrmann raped Brittany Higgins, who was too drunk to consent.
Although I'm not satisfied there was a clear verbal protest, I'm comfortably satisfied he was aware of her condition.
Delivering his decision, the judge found inconsistencies on both sides, that Lehrmann told deliberate lies,
His attachment to the truth was a tenuous one,
and that Higgins was a complex and unsatisfactory witness.
Miss Higgins crafted a narrative accusing others of putting up roadblocks.
Justice Lee also critical of the project for failing to investigate certain inconsistencies in Higgins' story, failing to question the motivation of her boyfriend David Shiraz, and for not doing more to reach Lehrmann before the story aired.
He was not living the life of a hermit. He was working for a public relations company in Sydney.
And while the judge accepted she was let down by Ten's legal advice, Lisa Wilkinson was also criticised over that Logie speech.
If she had thought matters through as an experienced journalist, she ought to have known the speech was fraught with danger.
But after more than 2 hours in an extraordinary judgment, the judge rejected Lehrmann's defamation case against Ten and Wilkinson.
Today, the federal court has found that I published a true story about a rape in a federal minister's office. I sincerely hope that this judgment gives strength to women around the country.
After surviving a criminal trial with no conviction,
Do you regret bringing this case?
based on the civil standard of proof, Lehrmann found to be a rapist.
The judge has called you a rapist today, Mr. Lehrmann. Is that the
Right, he said it was right.
ongoing history?
Having escaped the lion's den, Mr. Lehrmann made the mistake of coming back for his hat.
Do you regret doing this, Mr. Lehrmann?
Well, Justin Quill is an expert defamation lawyer whose firm represented Network 10 in this case. Justin, just how significant was this decision?
It's particularly significant. I mean, it's very, very difficult for media defendants to come to court and prove the truth of allegations like this. Bruce Lehrmann didn't have to prove that a rape didn't happen. Channel 10 had to prove that it did happen. So it's very significant from that perspective. It's significant, I think, for rape victims. And ultimately, you've got to think about the central allegation here. A woman was raped, not just in our Parliament House, but in a minister's office. It's quite extraordinary. So, yes, on any view, it's a significant case.
The judge did find that both Lehrmann and Higgins were unreliable witnesses. Why did Justice Lee ultimately end up believing Miss Higgins?
He's on a forensically examined, deconstructed and pulled apart Lehrmann's version of events and laid bare the implausibility of that version of events. In contrast, his Honour said that he was forcefully struck by Brittany Higgins' evidence on the central point. So ultimately, his Honour found that she may have been unreliable on matters in the periphery, but on the central point, his Honour found that she was a believable witness. And I think the contrast between those two things went a long way towards the finding that Bruce Lehrmann raped Brittany Higgins.
The civil court has found that Bruce Lehrmann is a rapist. Do you think we'll see the criminal case reopened? Will Brittany Higgins be back before the court in a criminal trial?
Look, in theory, it's possible. Bruce Lehrmann's case was withdrawn. It's not the case that he was found not guilty by a jury, so therefore the double jeopardy rules don't apply. So he could be brought back before the courts for a criminal case. And it may be that this decision buoys Brittany Higgins and she's happy to come back again and give evidence again. But his Honour was at pains to point out the difference between the criminal standard and the civil standard, and the fact that his Honour today found that Bruce Lehrmann is a rapist doesn't mean that on a criminal standard a jury would find the same. They may not. So as to what the new DPP in the Australian Capital Territory may or may not do. Who knows?
Justin, it was quite extraordinary that Justice Lee opened up his court and showed the proceedings on YouTube. If you had to go to one quote from him today, it's when he said Bruce Lehrmann escaped the lion's den only to go back in for his hat. Was it clear from the outset how risky this was always going to be for Lehrmann?
Yes, I think it was absolutely clear from the outset that this was pure lunacy by Bruce Lehrmann to bring this case. I think he did, not just because he wanted to make money out of it and reinvent history, but because he thought Brittany Higgins wouldn't turn up to give evidence. And had she not turned up to give evidence, I don't imagine that Channel 10 could have possibly won the case. So, yeah, it was crazy stuff from him to bring this case.
Do you anticipate that Lehrmann will appeal?
I would have thought it would be a bad decision for him to appeal. I'd be confident that we would hang on to the judgment. So I'd be surprised if he appealed, but I'm not going to guess what Bruce Lehrmann would do. His judgment hasn't been the best or the most rational so far.
Can I ask you just to, I don't know, think more philosophically about this for a second? So it's really clear that Bruce Lehrmann is the big loser out of today's judgment, but it's also clear that no one else emerged unscathed. Brittany Higgins didn't. We mentioned the unreliable witness on certain aspects finding before. Channel 10 didn't. The project didn't. Everyone involved has lost something as a result of this. What do you think we should take from this whole experience?
Well, you know, I hate to say it, but it is often true that the only winners when anyone goes to court are the lawyers, and that is often the case. Look, ultimately, though, I just don't think it's right to say that 10 isn't and the project isn't a big win. I know I'm appearing on the project, so it seems like I'm just saying it for this reason, but I'm not. 10 had a big win today. It is really, really difficult to prove the truth of these sort of allegations, and it is a significant win to have done so. And hopefully it's a warning to other plaintiffs who want to come to court and con the court. So yeah, look, there are rarely complete winners in legal cases, but 10's as big a winner tonight as you could hope for.
Justin, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.